スラエルのマリアーナさんからお話をしていただきたいと思います。マリアーナさん、じゃあこちらにお願いいたします。
Okay. Hi, I'm sorry. Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Mariana. I am coming from Israel. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the ThisAbles project, the Milbat organization, and also about the maker movement and the relation with people with disabilities. But before I started, I would like to introduce you all to Sefi Udi, an amazing engineer and industrial designer that we are lucky to have in our team in Milbat. So let's watch a short video about Sefi Udi.
שלום, שמי ספי אודי, בן 33 מגדרה. עברתי תאונת דרכים קשה, ונותרתי משותק מהצוואר ומטה. בעצם אחרי חודש בטיפול נמרץ, אני עברתי לשיקום בתל השומר. הייתי מונשם, והגעתי למחלקה לשיקום נשימתי, מחלקה נהדרת. כשאני נכנסתי לשם, הייתי באיזושהי ידיעה שאני יוצא משם הולך. כי זה שיקום, ושיקום יוצאים הולכים. אז עשיתי המון חשבון נפש. ובסופו של דבר הבנתי שעומדות בפניי שתי אפשרויות. הראשונה היא לשכב במיטה ולבכות על מר גורלי. והשנייה היא לעשות עם החיים שלי את המקסימום. ולשכב במיטה זה לא אופציה. לאט לאט הבנתי מחדש מה היכולות שלי. ב-2011 אני התקבלתי לעיצוב תעשייתי בבצלאל. כשאמרו לי שהתקבלתי, הייתה לי פגישה עם ראש המחלקה. והוא אמר לי, יש תוכנה שקוראים לה SolidWorks. תלמד אותה, היא מאוד תעזור לך בלימודים. התחלתי להתאמן ולשדרג את היכולות שלי בעזרת טוטוריאלס ביוטיוב וכל מיני טוטוריאלס שמסתובבים ברשת. ראיתי שעל מנת להשיג שליטה מלאה בסולידוורקס, אני צריך את 3 הכפתורים של העכבר. ואני אלקטרונאי במקצוע שלי. זאת אומרת, אני הנדסאי אלקטרוניקה. וחיפשתי כל מיני קונקטורים שהם יכילו 3 מיקרו-סוויצ'ים קטנים שאני אוכל להכניס לפה. ראיתי שאני לא מוצא כאלה, אז עוד פעם לא הייתה לברירה. הלכתי לסולידוורקס. ותכננתי קונקטור מחדש. הוצאתי אותו להדפסת STL, הדפסתי, הרכבתי וזהו. מאז אני עובד עם זה והשליטה שלי בתוכנה היא אבסולוטית. בעצם יש לי נקודה על המשקפיים, העכבר מאתר את המיקום של הנקודה, ולפי זה מוציא לפי זה שם את הסמן על המסך, ויש לי 3 כפתורים בפה, שמאלי, ימני ואמצעי, דרכם אני נותן את הפקודות, מה שמאפשר לי שליטה מלאה בעכבר. רציתי לפתח איזשהו מוצר, שדרכו אני אוכל להעביר עמודים בקינדל בעזרת שאיפה או נשיפה. כמובן הלכתי לסולידוורקס, בניתי מודל של הקינדל ומודל של העריסה לקינדל, שבתוכה בעצם שמתי מעגל שמזהה שאיפה או נשיפה ומנוע סרבו, ובעזרת שאיפה אני בעצם מצליח להעביר עמודים בקינדל. כשקיבלתי את התוכנית של הבית מהאדריכלית, לא ידעתי בדיוק כמה הוא נגיש, או כמה אני אוכל להגיע לכל פינה בבית. אז בניתי מודל של הבית, עוד פעם, בסולידוורקס, ומודל של הכיסא גלגלים. בדקתי בדיוק כמה ואיך, ומה רדיוסים סיבוב, זאת אומרת, בדיוק כמה הבית נגיש לי. ולפי זה עשיתי שיפורים, התאמות. בסופו של דבר, הבית יצא בדיוק כמו המודל. היצירה היא משמעות החיים, ובמיוחד עבורי, זאת אומרת, זה שאני משותק מהצוואר ומטה, זה רק מאדיר את זה פי כמה. ועצם זה שיש איזושהי תוכנה, או איזשהו מוצר, שמאפשר לי להוציא כל דבר שאי פעם חלמתי. להוציא אותו לפועל, בקלות ופשטות, בעצם הכל בשבילי.
Okay, so as you all could see in this video that Sefi recorded for SolidWorks, Sefi is the best example as I can think of a maker. Sefi didn't have to wait anyone to make a product for him or any company to design whatever he needs. He made it. He, by himself, designed anything that he wanted. So I'm going to talk a little bit now what is to be a maker. And okay. So before I started, what is this maker movement that is only growing right now? Nowadays in the States, more than 50% of the society consider themselves makers. And all around the world, the number of maker spaces and maker fairs are only growing. And what is to be a maker? Be a maker is like, as I showed in the Sefi example, is to have your hands on and to design whatever idea you have. And according to the Maker Movement Manifesto from Mark Hatch, the Maker Movement is based on these 10 concepts I'm going to talk soon during my presentation. But the most important of them is everyone is a maker. And the first time I saw this concept of everyone, the first thing I thought is, what is actually everyone? What are you talking about when you say everyone? Is actually everyone included in the maker movement? What about people with disabilities? They are also part of the movement. And what about how is the maker movement with people with disabilities? So in order to talk about this relationship, I'm going to explain a little bit about the organization I work, Milbat. So before the word maker was spread around the world, Milbat started to design customized solutions for people with disabilities. And how it works, we work in 3 basic steps. The first one is everyone that arrives in Milbat sits for a discussion with one of our occupation therapists to talk about their lives, their daily activities and their routine, and whatever activities they want to include in their routine. After there's a one-by-one consulting, we try to understand whatever has to be done and what are available solutions for their problem, and try to see whatever fits for their need. And once we understand there is not an available solution in the market, we design our own solutions based on their specific person. So let's go back to those concepts that I mentioned before. The first one is the verb that gives the name for the movement, to make. So according to the Maker Movement Manifesto, to make is actually to put your soul into an object. And I could not explain what is to put your soul into an object if I don't talk about our makers. Our makers are actually volunteers that work for Milbat during their free time. And they get really involved in every story, and they do what they love. They're naturally makers, and they start the projects, and they never leave until everyone in the stories is 100% satisfied. The 2 next concepts I'm going to talk about is to share and also to give. To share is actually the maximum you can reach as a maker. And to give, if you consider to make, that is actually putting your soul into an object. By giving a product, you're actually giving a part of you to someone. And the next concept is to learn and to tool up. As a maker, you should always try to improve yourself as a maker. So these 2 concepts are also really important. And in order to explain, to give, and to learn, I'm going to talk a little bit about the volunteers community you have in Milbat. As I mentioned before, they're in the majority retired engineers, and every Wednesday first Wednesday from the month, they sit together for a coffee, they discuss, and most important, they talk about their projects. They share their ideas, and they understand with each other how they can improve their projects and how they can share experience. So the next 2 concepts are to play. The maker movement states that you should enjoy the process of making, and also to participate. That is, my opinion, the most important concept of designing for people with disabilities. And what it means to participate, In Milbat, we understand that we should never design for people, we design with people. So as I mentioned before, everyone that arrived in Milbat joined these one-by-one discussions, but they keep, during the process, they are still there, and they share all the ideas. All the ideas we design are based on their own requests. And of course, the 3D printing technology is helping us a lot during this project, this process of designing with people. Because in 3D, we consider the specificities of a project. We don't have to go with standardized products. The last two concepts of the maker movement that I'm going to talk about is to support and to change. In order to explain a little bit about these two concepts, I'm going to talk a little bit about Milbat relationship with our makers. So I'm going to tell a little bit about this product as you are seeing here, is mobility. Mobility actually started with the idea of one of our volunteers. He had to design a new product for a person in a wheelchair that he had to pass through really straight passages in a wheelchair, and his feet were getting stuck on the walls. So what he did, he attached the wheels to the feet of the wheelchairs, so the person could pass easier through narrow passages. After he designed this idea, many people saw his project, and they also thought that it would also be useful in order to reach different furnitures in the house. And we tried to adapt his first idea that was tailor-made to a big scale design. And now we're going to watch a short video about this product.
This is C. 20 years ago, C developed multiple sclerosis. Like C, many other people who use wheelchairs daily encounter accessibility issues. Maneuvering difficulties can make it almost impossible to perform simple daily activities, such as turning from a narrow corridor into a small room, moving around a cramped space, negotiating bathroom facilities, or approaching a bookshelf. Therefore, we have developed a genuine, stunningly simple, sturdy, and easy-to-use device, which is the ultimate solution for these problems. Mobility, our maneuvering device for wheelchair users, is a simple, light shoe with little wheels, each turning on its own axis. Mobility is custom designed for either one or both feet. It allows for joint flexibility and wider mobility in the entire lower body, and increases blood circulation in the legs, reducing stiffness and improving the user's overall quality of life. Mobility, way better.
So after you saw a little bit what is the Milbat work, I finally arrived to the ThisAbles project. So it all started with IKEA idea of making their furniture more accessible, and then they invited us to join the team to learn a little bit how to use the maker process together with working with people with disabilities. Okay, so let's watch the ThisAbles main video, please.
Hi, I'm Eldar, 32 years old. Although I have cerebral palsy, I do everything I can to conduct myself like everyone else. But in my own home, of all places, I'm surrounded with furniture crying out, cripple. I'd like to sit on a regular sofa, without being afraid I won't be able to get up, to open a regular closet, or even to turn on a regular lamp.
1 in every 10 people in Israel is a disabled person. The IKEA design vision gave birth to the ThisAbles project. Smart hacks making IKEA's best-selling items accessible. The project was created in collaboration with 2 NGOs, Milbat and Access Israel, and started off in the IKEA store with a hackathon of product engineers and disabled people that enabled better understanding of their needs. In the end of the developing process, 13 new products were born, each solving a different accessibility issue, such as sofa elevating legs for easier ascending, lamp button enlargement, special handles for PAX closets, and more. The new products are presented in the world's first accessible living spaces in the IKEA stores. The new models are available for download from the project's website, ThisAbles.com, and 3D printing anywhere in the world. So that Eldar, Dina, Pavel, Inbal, Moshe, Tahel, and Liel can also feel comfortable in their own homes like everybody else.
Now they should come up with products that assemble themselves.
As you all could see, this was the ThisAbles campaign. And as Eldar mentioned in the video, it all started with an idea he had. Eldar is a copywriter for a McCain agency, a company that also joined our project. So Eldar was concerned about the decoration of his house. He wanted to decorate his house based on his desire, not according to his needs. So IKEA decided to make add-ons to give the opportunity for everyone to have IKEA furniture in their house. So these are the companies who joined our project: IKEA, Israel, Milbat, that I just mentioned before, Negishut Israel and McCain agency, and 2 other designers, Tomer and Mayan. So beside the add-ons, the project had a showroom in an IKEA store in Israel. We had all IKEA furnitures, and we selected the objects that we understood that were accessible for people with disabilities, and on these objects we had tags explaining a little bit how we could use for different type of impairments. So it all started. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the whole process of designing this project. It all started with, as I mentioned before, I started with IKEA idea of making their furniture more accessible. So of course, the first concept that we had to follow was to make accessible items, but we had to keep this IKEA look of being intuitive objects that everyone would understand how to use. Also, we had to keep the IKEA look. They should look the same. And most important, we couldn't change the purpose of an object. A table should never be used as a shelf. We also could not make holes or change, replace parts. So we had a really limited space for design there. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. One second. One minute. Okay. So for this project, we decided to use 3D printing. We wanted to make it easy and accessible all over the world, and we wanted people to be able to download our parts. We made all the parts free for download in the website. Everyone who is here can nowadays go to the website, download, and 3D print these parts. And okay, so we had already these initial challenges from IKEA. We added a few more, and I'm going to explain a little bit about these challenges we had. The first challenge we had was the size of the product. Considering the limitations of the 3D printing technology, we could not do nothing so big because we wanted to keep, as I mentioned before, we wanted to keep these products easy and cheap for 3D printing all over the world. So this is one example of the ideas we had in the beginning. This is a table that we did for the Strandmo chair. We wanted to attach it to the Strandmo chair, but we decided that it was too big and it could be expensive and really complex to print it. So we had to leave this idea. Another project that we had, not just to leave, but we had to make some adaptations, was the insider, that I'm going to explain better how it works. It was one big part that we had to make it smaller and more simple to print. Another concept that we had to add to our briefing was to make it simple. Again, we really wanted people to 3D print and to be easy and cheap to print. We decided to make, for the same table that I mentioned before, we decided to make some attachments. We had the idea to doing this magnifier lamp. We understood that in order to have this product, the person would have to buy a magnifier lens and 3D print many parts. We understood that this would be too much complex. So this was another type of project that we had to leave behind during our process. And the third, and also one of the most important concepts that we had to add, was safety. One idea we had was to build these portable stools for people of a short stature to reach high shelves. But we understood that considering we have no control under which technology is going to be used to 3D print and what material is going to be used, we understood that this would not be really safe and would put people's lives in risk. That also was another idea that we left behind. So this was the concept we arrived. The product had to be accessible, intuitive, had the same look, the same purpose, to be small, simple, and safe. And now we're going to see the products, the final products of ThisAbles project. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit about the items that they are available for printing in the ThisAbles website. The first one is an enlargement for the Renapper lamp. The second is a marker for the borders of furniture for people with a low vision. This one is finger brush holders. These are cup holders for the bedside. We also made an enlargement for the zippers for IKEA cushions and bags. As you guys saw in the video, we also have cane holders for cane and crutches to be next to the bed. We had a different type of handles for the wrist and the forearm to make it bigger and also easier to open. Also a gripper for the shower curtain. A protection for the glasses of, we understood that many people just decide for not choosing furniture with glasses because they're afraid of impact with a wheelchair, so these are protections for the glasses. This one is a stuff reader, is a holder for these tags that work with a pen reader, and so the person can understand the content of the shelves. The insider that permits that allows the person to see what is in the people in a short stature or in wheelchair can see whatever is in top shelves. And one type of handle also for wrist and forearm that make the doors easier to open. And okay, so after we started the project, in a matter of a few weeks and days, our project went viral. It was covered by different newspapers as the Washington Post. We were exhibited in different museums as the Design Museum of London. And now we're going to see a little bit what happened after.
IKEA's vision is to create a better everyday life for the many. ThisAbles gives simple and affordable home furnishings for 10% of the population.
Every child, every person is different depending on their needs.
Disability drives innovation.
Even in some of our public libraries, there's 3D printers.
A lot of the solutions, they've been very medicalized down through the years, and nothing as cool as anything you've produced.
ועכשיו אנחנו רוצים להראות לכם יוזמה מיוחדת של רשת איקאה שנקראת ThisAbles.
יוזמה חשובה שתקל על אנשים עם מוגבלויות. איקאה, עם ארגון נגישות.
Okay, so our add-ons were downloaded all over the world, and this was an unexpected achievement, and we could be happy by now, but we understand that this was not our final goal. We understand there is a lot to be done, and so I'm going to explain a little bit about, to understand a little bit what's going to happen right now in the ThisAbles project, I'm going to talk a little bit about the open innovation model. So while in a closed innovation, all the inputs and ideas come from the team members, in an open innovation model, all the ideas come from also the outputs and collaborations, and that's how we want to work. As I mentioned before, we design with people, and now we want to understand what people have to add to our concepts. I'm going to give some quick examples of how we are having this interaction right now. This was, as I mentioned before, the cane and crutch holder to the bed side. And I personally had an interesting experience with this project. I remember when we started to have this idea, we thought we had a great idea that could have a lot of people having their device next to their bed. And after we started the campaign, we were reviewing the comments online, and after seeing a few positive comments, I finally found this one that said, "Wouldn't that scrape the legs?" And they were giving many ideas on how to change this product, and I found it amazing, and I was actually really happy. I honestly believe that. So I believe that this interaction is really healthy for the project, and that's what we're looking for right now. We have in our website an area where people can share their ideas, their needs, and some different solutions that they thought about it. And that's what we're looking for right now. We're looking for this interaction, and we also invite everyone, if you 3D print these products in your house, please share with us your ideas. And I'm going to share with you some ideas that we received until today. This was a curtain gripper for the shower curtain. And we received a picture of someone that is using nowadays to open bags and also to hold Ziploc bags. We also had this person that was a visitor in Milbat. He saw this grip, and he actually thought it was a perfect handle for his cup. We made for him a special product attaching the curtain gripper to his glass. We also had someone from Texas saying that she used an IKEA table at work, and she also uses a mouth stick to use her computer, and she wanted an attachment, and that's it. We had a new idea, a new add-on that we already designed for her. So we wanted to inspire, of course, new add-ons, but that's not all. We want to inspire discussions. We want to open doors to talk about disabilities and to talk about the interaction between the maker movement and people with disabilities. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the educational part of the ThisAbles project. So as I'm doing here, talking with everyone, we had different discussions and presentations as we had in a webinar for students in the Design Museum of London, or also for students in Israel, we really want people to start to discuss about working with disabilities. Also students, professionals, and companies like IKEA. Like IKEA had the chance to work with people with disabilities. We also want many companies to start thinking like this. And apart from that, not just interacting, giving the requests and the needs for the products, we want people with disabilities to be part of, as active players in the maker movement. We want them to join this movement and also join this revolution. And Milbat is here to help understanding how to make this interaction between maker movement and people with disabilities. Thank you, everyone.
マリアーナさん、ありがとうございました。そうしましたらですね、ここからは、イヤマスの小林茂さんにも加わっていただきまして、一緒にですね、マリアーナさんの議論も深めていきたいと思いますし、はじめに小林さんから小林さんのご活動も少し、ご紹介いただけるかと思います。
Hi. So thank you very much for already inspiring talk. So before starting the discussion, so I want to introduce myself a little bit. Yeah, so I am Shigeru Kobayashi. So and I work at a school called EMS. So EMS is an abbreviation of the Institute of Advanced Media Arts and Sciences, a public graduate school. So established about a quarter century ago by Gifu Prefecture, a local government in Japan. At the present, the school is only a 2 years master's program. So and the capacity of one grade is 20. So therefore, it is a small school with only 50 students. So and their faculty members and students from various fields such as art, design, engineering, and social sciences work together, so expressing ideas based on various social issues and works in the area so where humanities and engineering knowledge intersects, so and ask questions to the world. So at the school, so I repeatedly tried asking the potential of the concept of open source hardware. So for example, in 2005, so we developed a toolkit for non-experts such as designers and artists that makes it easy to use sensors and actuators. So and also in 2015, so it's a challenging project by a hardware startup called IKEA in Japan to release a bionic arm as an open source hardware. So and I helped with a legal expert to formulate a strategy for the company around licensing design. So against this background, so the ThisAbles initiative project is really interesting. So and concerning the maker movement, we have been holding a local version of the Maker Fair, so every other year since 2010. So and I am the general director. So the previous event, which was held in December 2018, so attracted more than 140 exhibitors and about 7,000 visitors. So and the atmosphere was like this. So there were many projects by makers, so and they exhibited, so and had so many conversations with participants, and they also held many workshops, so and they performed. So through the process, so the visitors so really felt the possibility of the maker movement. So and the maker movement in Japan did not result in the short-term economic benefits of hardware startups, so as expected in 2012. So when Chris Anderson published the book titled Makers. So however, so we believe that these festivals are significant from the perspective of social inclusion. So because by meeting people who are enjoying through making different things with different motivations, so participants can, learn about. So there are many ways of enjoying life. So, and in response to the ThisAbles project, so I would like to introduce a project in our school. So that is closely related to this symposium. So, and about 10 years ago, so our school created a workshop with a 3D printer, a laser machine, and CNC, and other digital machine tools. So, and the studio has enabled students to prototype ideas quickly. So, for example, in my son, so a student at that time, so created a self-help tool, so that would allow a person with left-sided paralysis to cut the nails on his right hand by himself. So he learned the taste and as well as his needs through interviews with the person. So and repeated trial and error. So and made an attachment add-on to a ready-made nail clipper. So and moreover, so he designed to let many people know make derivatives of this attachment. So using MDF felt and other ready available materials, so they and published the data in open source, so that could be reproduced with a laser machine. So at the time of 2012, so there were only a limited number of facilities in Japan, so where laser machine could be used freely. So open source self-help tools sounded something like a concept-based project. However, so according to a media survey, so at the end of last year, so there were over 165 facilities nationwide, so and which seem to be technically quite realistic. So and more importantly, but the project is a little bit difficult for us to continue. So because students graduate in 2 years, and even if a student made a good relationship with a person, so it is difficult to sustain. So that's why I am really interested in ThisAbles project. So because that's made really big changes, so and looks sustainable. So based on my background, so I would like to ask questions from 3 different perspectives. So the sustainability. So sustainability varies from economic or motivation of people, so or environmental something. So and I want to also ask from the project management perspective. So because the project is the project with the big company like IKEA. So maybe there are many issues, something like product liability. So I hope that you can share as much as possible. So if we have a time, so we want to talk about the scalability. So because the title of this symposium contains IoT. So and you already introduced really good example utilizing Fab. So but this idea can be expanded with IoT or something like that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for the questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna answer in a few steps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go one by one.
Yeah.
So first one about the economic side of the project. As I mentioned during my presentation, was a big concern to keep it simple and easy to print, because we understand that to print things that are large and complex, they can be not just a waste of money, but a waste of material, because I don't know how many of you are used to 3D print, but when you 3D print a complex part, you actually 3D print one part and it doesn't work. So we tried as much as we could to keep it really simple and also not just intuitive to use, but also intuitive to print. And also we really wanted people to print it at home or in their facilities, but we didn't want to keep it as an idea. We wanted people to actually be able to print and use. About the project management, and so we were together with a big company called IKEA, that they of course were super concerned with the safety and that the products would not have less quality integrating these add-ons. Something interesting that I think would add to this conversation is that looking online, you could see that many people nowadays already hack IKEA products.
Yeah.
So you could see online many independent hackers for idea. And I believe that the concept of like accepting that and saying we also gonna join this movement and we're gonna hack our own products, it's really interesting and challenging. And I respect IKEA Israel for taking this, assuming this challenging activity and the trust they had on us, understanding that we wouldn't actually change. So of course they had a lot of limitations, saying you cannot make holes, you cannot not place one of the screws or part, or take one of the shelves and use as a table, as nowadays people use on these hackers, IKEA hackers conversation. We were really limited, of course, because they were concerned with the quality of their product. And as I mentioned before, also the safety. We work in Milbat for many years with people with disabilities. We understand the problems of and the risk we can afford to someone if you don't really think about the product. Every product we design, we think really deeply about the safety and how people are going to be using it in different scenarios. So, as I mentioned, this tool that we designed was something that it sounded in our meetings amazing, but then we understood that was not safe enough, and we could not trust that the person would print it in the proper quality material and with the proper technology. And we could not put anyone in a risk. So this is the second one. And about the scalability of the product, I actually think that the fact that 3D print make it so unique, each product, you can actually respect the individuality of people with disabilities. And that's why we love so much in Milbat use 3D technology. We understand that we can respect, we don't have to standardize the products we made. We actually have to, we can fit exactly what the person is requesting and whatever the body is asking. And we can actually go through these aspects. And once we decide to make things in a larger scale, we have to go for more standardized models. We actually do it, as I mentioned in mobility, that we took one idea that came from a specific project we had, and we changed it and we made it more able to scale with all the molds and the plastic and everything, and also to include different type of technologies. That's incredible. But in some specific cases, I like the simple ideas, the cheap ideas, and the ones that we can adapt. As I mentioned, the cup holder that came from a curtain gripper, and how we can, the plasticity of an object, that we can transform it and we can respect everyone and include. And as I mentioned before, if someone used something and they say, this handle is not good enough for me, I need something a little bit larger, they can easily contact Milbat. And with a lot of love, we can join this project and make new add-ons and adapt it for whatever need.
Yeah, and I want to ask a few questions. So in the first half of the presentation, so you mentioned about the maker movement. So, and how did you encounter maker movement? How, when?
Me, first of all.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm an industrial designer. I have my bachelor's in industrial design, and I did my master's in industrial design for medical devices and social design. And to be honest, when I was graduating, the 3D printing was still, at least I'm originally from Brazil, was still in the beginning. We are like, just specific projects were able to 3D print and everything. But in Milbat, we had to be makers to survive, to be honest, because we are a non-profit organization. We have the sources we have, and we have the material we have available for us. And the maker mentality is all you have there in order to make the ideas available and able to happen. So, as I mentioned, as we have just the materials we have, and we insist that we have to find the solution that everyone is satisfied, we have to have the maker mentality, and we had to join the maker movement even if we didn't want to. And before we knew that, we went to the maker movement.
So by the way, so in Japan, so maybe this year we will have several maker fairs, so including a small one. So, but how about in Israel? So there are maker fairs.
Yes, so the maker movement is growing. We have different hackathons all over the country. We have TOM, there is an organization that promotes all these hackathons for people with disabilities. We have different projects happening all over the country. People are joining a lot, the designers. We have a lot of technology and startups that are also joining the project. In Milbat example, we have different volunteers. As I mentioned, we have the retired engineers that come from a different mentality, but they are also understanding that there is 3D printing and there are different technologies, but they also have their maker on their way also, that also it's a lot of it adds a lot to our mentality. But we also have high-tech companies that volunteer for Milbat and take all their employees and their knowledge to join. So in Israel is a growing movement also, as in the same way probably that in Japan.
Yeah, so now I see a really good mix between the business and the high-tech and the hobby. So not separated and continuous. So why that happen in Israel?
Why people are
the continuity, so from high tech to hobby.
I believe these people that one comes from the desire to help. A lot of people have the desire to help. They have a lot of knowledge. They spend a lot of time in their office doing one specific thing, and they want to use their knowledge to something else. And the satisfaction you have when you see an actually, that is the satisfaction that we all know from the maker movement. That when you see an idea you had progressing and turning into something real and actually happening and helping someone is incredible. So I guess most part of these people that work in big corporations doing one specific and super technological issue, whenever they have the chance to feel free to create and to make it real and to change someone's life, I'm sure it's something super satisfying, and a lot of people are looking for to join this movement.
Yeah. So back to the ThisAbles project. So I really love the project. So by the way, so who named the project ThisAbles? So that's really good. So fantastic. So who named the project?
So as I mentioned, McCain agents also joined the project, and they are the one who came with the name ThisAbles, because that's what we're doing. I believe as designers and makers, we are the one who are creating the abilities and the disabilities. So we are responsible for the disabilities. It's not a book that is not that makes someone, if a book is proper to someone is not disabled to read a book. I believe that as designers, we are able to create abilities. And that's what we want. We want this project to create abilities and not disabilities. And I believe this name explains a lot behind the mentality we had during this whole process.
And from outside the people like me, so the project looks like a really big one. So because with a big company, so many people contributed. So and could you please share your experiences for your difficulties? So you already mentioned about restrictions about safety. So, but did you have any difficulties to manage the project?
Yes, as I mentioned, one difficulty I can say was to go with the limitations that IKEA had that are totally explainable, that we couldn't change nothing in their design. So I remember the first brainstorm we had, trying to think what ideas we could have. I made a humongous list of whatever came into my mind. And I remember after leaving the meeting, I just crossing all the ideas and say, okay, this I cannot 3D print. This one I would have to change their concept. This one could be not safe. So we had to filter a lot our ideas in order to arrive to something simple, cheap, and accessible, and to keep the idea concept behind, which couldn't change so much. So this was actually a big challenge to filter a lot also and leave behind the good ideas, to leave ideas that we thought, oh, this would be incredible, but not for now. That's not for this project. This was challenging. I think this was the main challenge, to be honest. But also, as I mentioned, the project is not only the add-ons; it's a whole concept behind. We want to include people with disabilities. We want people with disabilities to understand that the 3D printing technology is available. We want people to be interested and understand how much they can make with this technology. So this is the next challenge. We understood that many people downloaded and didn't 3D print, let's say. So how can we reach all these people? How these people could 3D print? Who are these people that actually is 3D printing? I saw online many people discussing. I saw people saying, "Wow, that's amazing! I want someone that want to use it. I'm volunteering to print." And I saw people, wow, I saw that a lot of people didn't understand the concept that it was for free and available. They thought they had to purchase online. So this now I think is challenging to actually reach people, to have people with many people like understanding that as like for us it's so clear, this technology, for many people still something really new that and unknown, and something that probably scares people, like I'm not able, and the maker movement based concept is everyone is a maker, so why not? Why everyone is not using this technology? And that's what we want. We want to open this conversation. We want everyone to be included here.
Yes. So yes, as you pointed, so there is a gap between the knowing and doing. So and technically it's feasible. So download from the websites and just print out. So and maybe so people already did that process. The process is not so complicated, but maybe it's for novices. So for the first time, is will be really sounds like complicated. So do you have any idea to fill the gap?
I think there are many things being done today. A lot of people who are opening libraries and schools, as I mentioned in the videos, like trying to say, hey, you can come and you can print here. You have like maker spaces. We have all the time people trying to show that you shouldn't be scared, that everyone can do it. But it's still a process. I think every project that tries to include and invite people with, also what we're doing today, I think is an opportunity for people. Don't feel afraid, 3D print, look for these technologies. They are not so hard as they think. And there are always people trying to help you and join whatever the skills you don't have still. It's a movement that invites a lot of people. And people share, and as the volunteers in Milbat do, they share experience and they share their knowledge. And whatever one person doesn't know how to do, they can rely on the other to do. So if you don't know how to actually 3D design and use SolidWorks, it's really easy to find online someone ready to do it with a lot of love and to help. People are ready to help in this movement, to help each other. And I think this is a sort of mentality we need to have. And projects that make it shows that it's not a big. There's nothing to be scared. Technology, there's nothing to be scared. You can. We should make it more simple.
So, do you remember your first encounter with a 3D printer? So how was it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so when I was in college, I remember, it was not so long ago, but I don't know if maybe in Brazil, but actually when I was starting my college, I went there for a technology institute, and we had like these humongous 3D printers, and they were saying, this is the future. Soon you're going to be able to 3D print something in your house. And I was like, wow, and this probably is the future. I remember I arrived home, I told everyone, wow, soon we're going to 3D print everything we have at home. And that didn't happen, actually. It's happening. But I thought it would happen way faster. And by the time I was graduating, we were able in college to 3D print 1-2 parts, really like not smooth parts, really rough. And I saw many changes during these years. People were getting to know it better. I think it's different. I think we are progressing in this. But of course, I think it changed a lot since I started. But I was also scared. I was also thinking, because I think it seems more simple when you design the computer, and when you actually 3D print, you see that there are things that are not as you planned, and you also have to design for it. But I think slowly we're arriving in the stage that everyone can do it.
Yeah, so by the way, so as you mentioned before, so the project got attention from worldwide. So you said so many people already downloaded it. So did you get any contacts like one regarding the collaboration from other countries?
Yeah, so I showed this new add-on that someone from Texas, she asked. It was actually not like a new idea. Was a request. That's what we wanted actually. We wanted to open doors. She saw it and she was like, wow, so I can 3D print anything I want. So she said, okay, I want an add-on to attach my mouse stick to the table. And that's incredible because it's not even something we thought about it. She had the idea, she had the need, and we designed with her. So this is one of examples, but we receive all the time emails of people saying, how could I attach this other furniture, or for my I want a different handle. It's something that we receive all the time.
Yeah, so and from my experience, so holding and joining a hackathon is really interesting and fun. So do you have any how can I say plan to share the experience holding hackathon or doing that project to the other NGOs, NPOs in other countries?
Yes, in Israel we have different hackathons, as I mentioned. Milbat also promotes several hackathons. We have TOM, that is a big organization that also they do all over the world, not only in Israel. We have different hackathons happening, and also many of them are focused on people with disabilities. That I think it's totally different. It's not only a hackathon. You have to have a different approach, a different mentality, another way of designing. You have to have really understand, because usually we do it with someone joining the group, and you have to have a different approach, understanding the actual needs and the requirements.
Yeah. So and in the end of the presentation, so you mentioned a little bit about the future. So do you have any plans of future projects? So besides, can be a part of the project with IKEA, or maybe go beyond the project.
So now we are looking, as I mentioned, we are looking for new ideas. We actually invite everyone to download and share ideas. We really want people to join now. We want to have the second part where people join and have their names written in the website. We have actually to make a network where everyone join the team. And actually also keep opening these doors and talking with people and inviting people for the maker movement with disabilities. And that's the future. Not only building the add-ons, but also inspiration for opening new doors.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about what we can learn from your project. So that's really so inspiring. So at this moment, so the Milbat is NGO in the field of welfare. So do you think it's possible to spread this idea to other fields? Like, so you already mentioned education, but anything
so we
else?
In Milbat we give several workshops, and we talk with different groups. We talk with a lot of students. We have many projects with students where they design for where they become makers, and really young students. They visit Milbat and they have workshops. We have also with toys companies. We also, something really interesting that we make. We make adaptations for toys.
Toys?
So whatever toys someone wanna make it more accessible, so they bring to us, and we have our volunteers that they adapt it, they change completely, and they attach to big switches, large switches, all types of switches that actually is adaptable for the person who they're trying to use. This is something that happens for many years in Milbat, and something that never stops the request. So we actually work in different areas, but always trying to include everyone.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So it's almost time, I think. Yeah. No. Oh, still have 7 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. Okay. So I wanna ask questions about maybe the specific one. Yeah. Yes. So I want to ask the question about Milbat. So as you mentioned, so the many retired engineers are joining as volunteers. So how about the designers or other special skills?
So in Milbat, we have our actual team, the employees. We have the occupational therapists that work inside Milbat, inside house. And they're the ones who first approach the person who arrived in Milbat and try to understand their lives, their daily activities, their stories. They're the main people in Milbat that actually understand the actual needs. I'm designer there, so I work also helping the volunteers with whatever, as like with SolidWorks, whatever needs they have and help they need. We have several products that we started to do in large scale, so it's something that as a designer I'm responsible. We have mobility, but we have different products. We have Find It, that is a control that helps you finding objects in your house, special thought about people with Alzheimer. We have different objects that we produce in large scale. And we have also the mid-ground that is not a plastic large scale, but is also not tailor-made. We have like puzzles and several products that we actually usually give to nursing homes that are like made of wood, that is not completely large scale, but it's not so much tailor-made. It's like simple solutions, but that you can keep and do like 10, 50 per time. So that's basically how we joined the industrial design in Milbat. Not only with the volunteers. The volunteers are, I believe that volunteers are the soul of Milbat, because they actually give a lot and they love what they do, and I believe that what makes us special, because they never leave the project incomplete. There's no such a thing. They start every project that they start. They keep in touch with the person in the other side, and they try by themselves and they build by themselves, and until they don't see the person is completely satisfied and loving, from the small details, from the color that they're painting the wood until the comfort of the hand of using. They think about everything, and they try to create with the most limited sources they have, but they always arrive to this amazing solutions that you would never think about it. As this mobility that I mentioned was so clever that you just take the wheels and attach the feet to the feet place from the wheelchair. You attach wheels, and then you can pass narrow passages. That is something that I would never think by myself, but he learned that by seeing the person getting stuck many times in the passage, and he finally had this idea. And I believe this kind of idea comes from being in touch and designing together, and not only hearing really quick the request and trying to design. This comes from observing and thinking together and discussing. And I believe this comes from our volunteers.
Yeah, but the rule is really interesting. So you cannot never exit from the process. So there is no ending of creating ideas. And sometimes I guess it's hard to finish the project. So how do you define? So this is finished or not finished?
So this never happens, to be honest, because let's say there are different examples of it. First, sometimes we design and we arrive to find a solution, and the person leaves and said, "That's what I want." After a few months, he says, "Okay, it was relevant by now, but now I changed home. Now I have a new request. Now it's not using anymore. Or I changed something. Something in my hand now is not there." We work really close to the rehabilitation center in the Tel Shomer Hospital. So we design also for people that are in the process of rehabilitation. So it's constantly changing. Someone that was using something, nowadays you're using something else. So not only the ideas never stop, but also the request changes all the time. And that's amazing. That's what keep the project always alive. So people come back also to change something, to design something else. And that's the whole fun behind it. That sometimes, and what I mentioned also before, we have all our experience with the things we've done for like 30 years. So many times we see something that we understand that we did something similar in the past, and we have to change it and adapt it for this new situation. And that's something we do a lot. And as you saw also in the mobility project, we started with something, it became something else. We also had a really interesting founding. After using this idea of attaching wheels to the steps of the wheelchair, to the footstep, we understood that it would also be able to reach, to approach furniture in a different way. Also, we gave to one of the persons that work in Milbat, Shoshi. She is in a wheelchair. And after using, she realized she was actually having her blood circulating better because she had her legs in the same positions for a long time. So by having wheels on the foot of her wheelchair, her legs were moving and her blood was circulating better. So we started to understand that there was something else to be done related to the same project, and then there was like a whole new study behind it that we started to make. So as you also mentioned, the project is never finished, and we always have to keep our minds open and never think that, okay, I did my job, let's move to the next one. We have to be open all the time to, as I mentioned, like the cane holder, that I was so sure that we had an amazing idea, and then that was the final project. And I didn't think that we can maybe hurt someone. And that's it. Amazing. Let's go. Let's move forward and think about new ways to do it without these small problems that we found during the design process.
Oh, so thank you very much. So unfortunately, we have to finish this session. So, but we still have time. So, as a third session today. So, and so I want to say a big thanks to you. So, because we learned so many things from the project. So, and maybe we can appropriate the ideas or the way of thinking to other projects. So, maybe we want to talk about that kind of possibility as a part of the third session. Anyway, so thank you very much.
Thank you.